A new neighbor, always standing by the window, begins to spy on the girl living across the street and knows more about her than she can imagine.
This story happened during one of the most difficult periods of my life. You know, the period when everything literally falls apart. When you dread a new day because it will bring new problems. Just a bad streak. As they say, shit happens. My name is Emily, and when I moved to this area, I was looking not just for a new home, but for a chance to start over. I was tired, lost and disappointed, after several years spent working in a large company, where I felt nothing but tiredness and hopelessness. I quit with a big scandal that literally sucked the life force out of me. My life was like a cycle, every day monotony, every morning the same. I lost my purpose, and with it, myself. I broke up with a guy I had been living with for several years after he told me that I'm not sure that we are right for each other. With all the problems at work, this was the last straw. In what sense, after 3 years, you are still not sure? I was already expecting a ring, to be honest. Those words hurt me more than I could have imagined, and I couldn't stay in the apartment where it once seemed like everything would be fine. I took my things, left everything behind, and moved here, to an old apartment complex in the suburbs. I wasn't looking for anything special, just a place where I could re-experience myself and figure out what to do next. My relationship with my parents was far from ideal, and I was starting to think that maybe there was something wrong with me, since everyone around me was bad. The apartment was cozy, although old. It hadn't been renovated for a long time, and I liked this casual atmosphere. It reminded me that there are moments in life when you don't need to follow standards and expectations, but can just be yourself. Here I could find the peace and quiet that I was missing so much. The first weeks passed calmly. I got used to the new surroundings, spent time with books and a cup of coffee on the balcony, watching the traffic on the street. But everything changed when I started noticing him. My neighbor. His apartment was right across the street, and he was always by the window at the same time, around 7 p.m. His gaze was frozen, like a statue. At first I thought it was a coincidence, but every evening he was there. Sometimes he would just stand there, and sometimes he would stare at me, as if he were waiting for something. At first it didn't scare me. After all, who doesn't like to look at the sunset or the street from their window? But something was wrong. His eyes weren't just watching, they were guiding me. It was as if he knew when I would go out onto the balcony, when I would sit down, when I would want to do something. I could feel his gaze even when I wasn't looking in his direction. A few days passed, and I couldn't shake this strange feeling. Something inside me turned over when I saw him there, in his old chair by the window, as if this was all part of his routine. I decided that I needed to talk to him, to find out what was going on. Maybe I was making this up because I was all alone this time, but my gut instinct told me it wasn't just curiosity. Maybe I just needed to blow off some steam, and this poor old man would fall under my hot hand? I found his house and knocked on the door. He opened it a few seconds later. He was old, but there was something strange, frightening in his gaze. He smiled slightly, but it was a cold smile, as if he knew what I was about to say. His eyes glittered, and I felt the tension inside me increase. "Good evening," he said, letting me in. I couldn't believe I was doing this. It was dark inside the apartment, and the smell of old books and stale air hit my nose. The walls were covered with shelves with books, and on the table there were old photographs and strange figurines that looked like antiques. All this created an atmosphere as if I had ended up in a place where time had stopped many years ago. "I noticed that you often look out the window," I began, trying to remain calm. "I just don't understand why." He slowly looked at me, and his lips curved into a strange half-smile. His voice was strangely calm. "You think I'm just watching, but you don't understand why. Haven't you noticed how you act? You're always on this balcony, at the same time. You're trying to find something, just like me. I felt a chill run through me. What did he mean? Why did he say such things? I didn't answer, just stood there, trying to understand what was happening. You're not alone, Emily, he continued, as if he could read my mind. You were running away from something. You came here to hide, but you didn't hide from yourself. You're always searching. And I know it. These were the words I was afraid to hear. He knew more than he should have. It was impossible, because I hadn't told anyone what had happened. But how did he know my name? How could he be so sure of what I was looking for? What do you want from me? I asked, unable to hide my anxiety. His face became more and more distorted, and I felt the atmosphere in the room change. He was not just an old neighbor. He was someone else. Crazy, perhaps, or someone who was too closely connected to this place. I want you to understand, he said, his voice becoming hoarse and low. I have been here for a long time, much longer than you. You can't see it, but I watch everyone who comes into this house. I know when you are worried, I know when you think everything is fine, but in reality you are alone. You are always alone. I felt my breath catch in my throat. I don't know what it was, but something about this man made me so scared. I remember thinking at that moment that he was as crazy as I was, that I had come to his house to figure things out. You were following me? I could barely get the words out, but he kept looking at me with crazy interest. I wasn't following, he replied, I was watching. I couldn't help but watch those hiding here. I gasped in horror. He spoke as if this was all a normal thing. As if he had known me for a long time, as if all my fears were part of his world. You don't understand, he said, but I saw your pain. I saw you walking away from everything in your life, and you thought you'd find peace here. But I won't let you run away. I turned around abruptly and ran out of his apartment without looking back. His words were spinning in my head, and fear was squeezing my heart. I never thought I would encounter something like this. Obviously, this old man is crazy, yes, but his words sounded so plausible. As if he knew me and my situation. But let me remind you, we did not even live in the same house and never crossed paths anywhere except these balconies. I ran home, closed all the curtains, sat down on the couch and began to analyze why I was so scared and what to do next. I signed a contract for the apartment for 6 months, so I cannot move out now. And this is a strange decision, right? Leaving because one of the neighbors is looking out his window, which is located opposite your balcony. I understand that I can't go to the police about this. So, I opened my laptop and am writing this post in the hope that someone will tell me what to do. But keep in mind a small detail, this man simply evokes an animal fear in me, my blood runs cold, I just can't look at him. So advice in the style of just ignore him is unlikely to help here. I don't have any money left to rent another apartment, I'm barely able to afford this one now, because I'm out of work. Right now, as I write this sentence, I see the light reflecting on my curtains, as if he were shining a flashlight into my window. I'm going crazy, right?